Live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. Good morning, and how are you? This is a slightly strange beginning to the morning sunset safari. That's ridiculous, to the morning sunrise safari. My name is James Hendry. I'm going to be talking to you from the migration control room down here. We are experiencing a few technical glitches at the moment, and so Scott, who's out in the field, and Taylor, who's out in the field in South Africa, will hopefully be talking to you very soon. This is Safari Live. So you won't be staring at my face for the whole morning. I hope we will be out in the field. The first thing we'll go down to have a look at, of course, is the River Cam. There we have the River Cam. We are coming to you from two locations here on the magnificence that is planet Earth. The Masai Mara, that is the Mara River you're looking at right now, and the Sabi sand in South Africa. I'm not sure exactly what the technical glitches are. I'm never sure what the technical glitches are because my brain is too small. But I will be doing my very best to bring you the most entertaining amount of biology that I can from here on the migration control, as will everybody be doing their level best to get you out into the field as soon as possible. So there are some rapids there at the main north crossing. Now we've had quite a lot of action here at these crossings over the last few days. The zebra largely in these northern regions of the Mara have been crossing to and fro, hither and yon, over and thither, the rivers. And then yesterday, way down to the south, we had a very large wildebeest crossing, so that was quite fun, but we don't have a camera at that crossing. Are we able to go, Rebecca, who is directing today, down to the Dusty crossing? Is that at all possible? We can go to Dusty crossing. Rebecca is just going to twiddle a few knobs and push a few buttons and, well, intellectually strain herself at this early hour of the morning. And here we go. Now, I'm sorry about the flicker. I'm not sure why that is. We'll have to have a word with our resident Russian. Hopefully it will be resolved fairly soon. But what I wanted to show you, of course, is what we did not see yesterday at those crossings that we had near the south of the reserve. That, of course, is one of those nasty crocodiles. For some reason, the zebra and wildebeest crossed completely unhindered by the crocodiles yesterday, which is a very odd thing indeed, I thought. We'll just go up a little bit there. I'm sorry about the flickering. We will try and sort it out as soon as possible. And these crocs, of course, are now waiting very patiently for the migration herds to make their way up towards the north. So that's the story there. And Rebecca, do you think it would be possible for us to go to Main South? One moment, please, everybody. Rebecca is twiddling a few knobs. There we are. And that's a much better picture, and there you can see a nasty crocodilian in the water. Now, I said this during the television show, I think probably during an advert break, but I think what is most interesting about these crocodiles may not have been, but it normally is Judy H., who put me right when I kept calling them a dinosaur of the deep. They're not dinosaurs. Recent research shows that the crocodile is in fact a very modern species indeed. It's about the same age as our own species, probably a little bit older than that, years or so. That is the Nile crocodile I'm talking about. Period that is long gone. It is in fact very much belonging to this era. I'll just zoom in a little bit closer, and then what we will do is go to the and there is the mountain cam, which looks a little bit hazy, and that is just because it's quite difficult for the mountain cam to get a picture at this time of the day. I'll just try and brighten it up a little
afternoon, everybody. Sorry about all the tech problems that we seem to be having. The gremlins have been hard at work, but we're here. We had to change cars very, very quickly, but it seems as though we can actually hear now, which is quite nice, so that makes it a little bit on the easier side. But my name is Taylor, and on camera with me today for the Sunrise Safari is Craig. And James and Scott, of course, will be joining us in the Mara. Now, during the pre-show, I do apologize, I was a little bit tongue-tied there. I was telling you that we had some hyenas. We did have hyenas. We had 3 of them. I'm trying to find them again for you. Hopefully they weren't moving. They're actually just laying in the grass up here on quarantine. Hopefully we'll get them again. But if you have just joined us again, we're very sorry. But this is live and interactive. And you can hashtag Safari Live on Twitter if you'd like to have a chat with us today. And hopefully we're going to find all sorts of wonderful things. Now, we found these 3 hyenas. They were making the most bizarre noises. I was describing it to the girls in Final Control as, if any of you have ever been to the Eastern Cape of South Africa, the Xhosa, since when they celebrate, they always go, I do it very badly, but something along those lines, and I swear that's what the hyenas were doing this morning. It's like they were trying to be very traditional. But there was also one hyena which looked like a female. I don't know which one. I'll show you a picture. I took a photo of her. She was eating something. I don't know what she was eating. It looked like a hoof. But I'm not 100% sure. Now, where are they? They were running this way. Maybe we must go down here. So I don't know if those other ones got up and ran. Obviously we raced back to camp. Let's just see how this morning goes. I said I heard a leopard soaring. There was one soaring. And I will try and update the guys. But actually, while you have a look at that sunrise. Tax for Taylor. Let me update these guys quickly. Morning. I had 3 Misi on quarantine. They looked like they were slowly mobile in a southerly direction. And then I also heard Lalela Den Ingwe colouring. It sounded like it was coming from the east, maybe northeast, but quite far. Maybe even Buffelshoek boundary. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, copy. Perfect. I'm going to come that side now. Thanks so much, Tex. So how great is that? How beautiful is the sunrise? And I was just chatting to Texan, as you heard on the radio. I was telling him that I did hear a leopard soaring. So hopefully we'll be able to follow up on that. But one of the hyenas was actually still sitting in the same place that we had them. So let's go back there. So I don't know where the big female went now. I thought it looked like very female-like. But I'll show you pictures. And she's gone off. She's running down that way. So I don't know. Craig, can I please move that water bottle? I'll put it here for you. Sorry, it's just me. It's rolling around way too much. Let me put it. Stay. There we go. We had to do a very, very quick change, as you can imagine, from one car to the other. I had to try and grab all my things. If you look down here, you'll actually see, look at all the books. I've just chucked them on top of Tristan's box, but they're there, and at least I'll have them for the safari. Right, we're going to see if we can relocate on this hyena again. I'm sure you'll love to spend some time with them, but let's go back across to Kenya and have a look at what's happening on the rivers.
Righty, I think that we should go straight back down to the mountain cam, because that's what we were looking at before. Is that possible, Rebecca? Below those, of course, we have there. It's just past of zebra that lurks around here pretty much all the time, and they are eaten fairly regularly by the Agama pride, and for some reason these chaps do not migrate with the I don't think anyone really knows why. For them.
Well, very sorry about that. We seem to be having many gremlins. We've got a hyena here that's injured. It's lifting up its foot. Now, like I was saying to you, there was so much commotion going on last night. I'm just going to turn up this way, Craig, just to give Tax a spot to view it as well. I don't actually know what's gone on, but it's not uncommon to have, of course, domestic disputes, if you will, within the clan of hyenas. But that foot does not look good. You can see it's obviously in a bit of pain. It's holding it up. It doesn't want to put any pressure on it. So it could have been from a number of different things. It could have been running, and it could have fallen into a burrow of some sort. We often see animals breaking their legs like that. I don't know if it's broken though. It's a bit hard to tell from here, but it definitely doesn't look particularly good. So I wonder if that's why when we were sitting during pre-show, 2 of the hyenas actually didn't want to move at all. They kept looking back towards the tent, and that's exactly where this hyena's come from. It's come from James's favorite spot in the sands, from his tent. I don't know if they were in the tent. I doubt that they were in the tent. And that makes a lot more sense now why they kept looking back, but there was so much commotion. There was lots of squealing. So there's obviously been a slight altercation. We might pop past the den to see if there's anything happening there as well. But of course, you guys know how to identify these hyenas better than I do, so you're welcome to hashtag Safari Live with who you think this member could be. But it does not look too well. Maybe you must go back and have a rest. I think it's looking for the rest of the clan now. But the other 3 that we saw initially looked very healthy, looked fine, in fantastic condition. They were nice and fat. Like I said, even one of them was eating something, so I don't know what they were feeding upon. Just also listening, because they were communicating quite a bit earlier on this morning. Sort of soft whoops, sort of like a woo. They weren't doing the normal whooping sound, so it sounded like they were maybe just doing close sort of contact communication. Craig, should we go up again? Now, we must remember, now we've got an injured animal. We have to, of course, respect this animal. We need to give it room. Right, so we're not going to pressure it. We'll just have another look at it, of course, just so you guys can be able to identify it. But Gina, you've said, do you think the sounds that they were making could have been from an injury being sort of made to this hyena? Definitely, most certainly. It was a strange noise. It wasn't a very pleasant sound that we were hearing. I'm just going to go up and we'll look from a distance. Like I said, I don't want to put too much pressure on an injured animal. It can't be very nice. You know, it's like when you go to hospital and you've had an operation, they're visiting hours for that exact reason. You need to get rest. So we'll just watch it as it walks. No, you see, now it's walking. Look at that. I suppose that just shows you how resilient these creatures are, because it didn't want to put any weight on its foot, and now look at it. It's fine. Excuse me. Wouldn't be a safari if I didn't sneeze. Okay, well, I don't know what was wrong with it. Maybe it just sort of jarred a joint. You know what that can be like if you do running and you roll your ankle. Sometimes it takes 10 minutes before you can put any weight down on it, but you eventually get it back again. So maybe that's what's happened. Maybe they were playing or chasing after that one hyena that had a meal and they were trying to steal it from her. And then there was an altercation that happened. So that's another thing. There's many different things that could have happened. We can only really just speculate. It's quite difficult to, of course, tell. But I'm just happy that it's putting weight down on its foot again. That makes me feel a whole lot better. But remember, these animals are resilient. They bounce back like you have absolutely no idea. So to be worried about something like a hyena, which is known for being a scavenger but also a great hunter, I think that they are very, very tough creatures. I mean, who wouldn't be when you hang around wild dogs, lions, and leopards trying to steal their meals? Now, Sally from Oregon, you're wondering if the pack would help this hyena or if it will have to stay on its own. So typically we refer to a group of hyenas as a clan, and normally wild dogs will be a pack of dogs, but no, they're not necessarily going to help it. So, you know, and this is what's so nice, the differences between hyenas and wild dogs is obviously wild dogs they're amazing animals, but when there is an injured member in the pack, they normally stay at a den site or they stay behind and they'll bring food back for that member. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen with the hyenas. Hyenas don't sort of regurgitate their food like wild dogs do. And I don't think that they would bring back chunks of meat. They normally bring back chunks of meat to den sites as well, the little ones will chew on them, but typically not for an adult. Like I said, I'm not sure which hyena this is. Megan, has anybody said who they think this hyena could be? So I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sure of the ranking of this hyena. And that, of course, will have a whole lot to do with it. But it'll be fine. Look at it already. We saw it just a couple of minutes ago, not being able to put any weight on its foot. And now look, it's got a slight limp. It'll be fine. Remember, once that adrenaline kicks in, if it's going to try and hunt something or if it's going to try and scavenge, that all goes away. They forget that they have an injury. It's like the day that I was charged by that buffalo with a broken leg in the cars. I was calling it in. We've told the story often. I'm telling the bushwalk team, it was actually James, don't come to this area, there's a buffalo with a broken leg. And as I was doing that, it's like there was nothing even wrong with her. She put all four legs down on the ground and charged straight towards me. But I think we'll let this hyena carry on. Like I said, it is slightly distressed just because of an injury. Let's go around. That leopard that was soaring, I don't know who it could be. Okay. So, Crystal, thank you so much. You think that it is Scarback's daughter from June 2015. Okay, that's quite interesting. She's still walking she's going this way, but let's carry on. Let me see if I can try and track down that hyena that was carrying that whatever it was eating. Like I said, I don't know what it was eating, and then we'll go back to the den at some point too. But maybe we can catch up with these others. They weren't running off like they were racing the other morning, but there must be another den site somewhere, because I feel like this is the second time that something like this has happened, where we've had them coming from the Gallagher den and now they're up here on quarantine and then they go straight south. So I wonder if there's not another spot that they're using as well. We'll see if we have any fresh tracks going in towards the old den or Philemon's cut line. If there aren't any tracks going straight towards it, then it means they're not using it. But there are so many massive termite mounds between Rebecca's and Zoe's road down here. We've done many walks where we've actually gone and investigated and had a look around there. I would not be surprised if there was another spot that they were using. And hopefully once we start doing bushwalks again, I think that for me, that's going to be the first spot that I go down without a doubt. I'm going to go and have a look with Herbie's guidance, of course, and start investigating around all of these termite mounds and just trying to figure out, you know, which areas they're moving to. So the tracks, she was coming in this direction, but now I don't see hyena tracks, but she could have taken a shortcut. And then I was with Sebastian when all of this was happening. When we had those hyenas, we didn't catch them. They ran faster than I could drive, which is a surprise as well, right? And then we had them popping out again. I remember one of them was Gwen, if I'm not mistaken, and the other one was Tsaka. And they ended up popping out on Leadwood Road, Mamba, going towards Cheetah Cut Line, going into Torchwood. I wonder if they're going in the same direction. And we'll quickly go and have a look. Philemon's Cut Line's not a bad spot to check anyways for leopards and things like that, so who knows, maybe we get something else down that side. I'm just going to turn the game drive radio on, because Tax and Aubrey, we're going to check the northern boundary, because that's where the Nkuhumas were. They were on a kill. I think they were on a wildebeest kill, if I'm not mistaken. And with all of those mouths to feed, they may have come back this side, or they might even just be laying up near Sydney's dam. So we'll keep an ear out. I'm actually just going to confirm where they're going to go. Tax for Taylor. Tax, sorry, confirm which areas you're going to go and check. Okay, copy. Okay, thanks. It's just me from Wild Earth in the sands today. If you get any Nyamazans, please let me know and I'll come to them. Okay, so I just... Okay, copy, perfect, thanks so much. I'm going to quickly just go down Philemon's cut line towards Gari Main and have a quick scratch around towards Twin Dams, and I'll come back that way. There you go. So what will be really nice is that I'm going to be working with the Djuma guides today, so Tax and Aubrey, and I just said to them basically if they see any sort of nice sightings, so if you've heard of zebra to a giraffe to anything like that, they must just let me know, because it is going to be quite difficult. One of me driving around searching in the sand, so I'm going to have to rely on them quite a bit this morning. But we'll go down, they're going to check this way, they said they'll let me know if there's any lion activity that comes back down this side. That leopard that was calling is so far away that it could totally just disappear into Buffelshoek. It's a tough one. But we'll keep searching around here and hopefully we'll get lucky enough to pick up on something. In the meantime, let's go back across to James and hear what's happening. Maybe there's some crocodiles or hippos doing all sorts of wonderful things. Who knows?
There we are. It wasn't quite timed very well. Zooming down onto the green grass slopes of the Olololo escarpment. I was hoping to see if we wouldn't find one of those lionesses sitting in that tree. So they do like to sit in that very shepherd's tree over there. I think it's that one I'm looking at. Is that correct? It might not be that one. It might be a little bit further around the corner. Let's just keep going down this way. And what she does, or she and a number of them do, is sit in the tree and wait, because it's just above a waterhole. And they climb out of the waterhole and hunt whatever is sitting around the waterhole, which is often one of those zebra or one of those impala that we have over there. Now yesterday, and I did kind of address this on yesterday afternoon's drive, but I thought I'd do it again now because you can see quite nicely here. Yesterday we discussed on the morning drive, or you discussed with Tristan, why it is that we don't get enormous termite mounds here. There are some warthogs, you can see, about 3 pixels. And the answer is, of course, because the soil is different. And so, as you can see, we're now on the slopes of the Olololo escarpment, which inescapably means that the soil is going to be more or better drained than it would be down on the Mara floor. And so, with better drained soils, what you have is bigger termite mounds, because the termite mounds don't then get inundated and the termites reach the water table much more quickly than they do in a place like Djuma, especially on the granitic sandy soils there, which tend to have a much deeper water table. So I hope that does answer the question. I think many of the termite species would be different, but we'll get a lot of the similar kinds of termites that you get there at Djuma. Here's a lovely herd of zebra. They're heading down towards the woodlands that sort of fringe a tributary that comes off the Olololo escarpment and eventually feeds into the Mara River. And they spend their evenings in that tributary and then up onto the slopes of the escarpment, and then they come down to graze during the morning, when hopefully they'll be able to spot the lions slightly more easily. Now, hashtag Safari Live is how you can ask us a few questions if you would like to. We will do our very best to answer them in the most professional manner possible. Let me just see if I can't darken that picture very slightly. There we go. And we'll just zoom up and out, and then I think we'll go across to one of the dams. Rivers, I mean. Ooh, they're the lions. Alexa, you're wondering, just aged 14 you say, are there any wild dogs in the Mara? There are potentially wild dogs in the Mara. I'm told that they have been seen here before. They are on the mammal list. I've never seen one here. I've never heard of anyone seeing one. Now, there the lions are. I know you can't see them, but I promise you they're there. And the interesting thing about this is that Scott has just reported that he has found all 3 of the little lion cubs that we thought were going to become only 2 during our TV show on Friday evening / Saturday morning. And that's interesting because it was down in that lugger, or that gully, that one of them seemed to be injured and unable to move and out onto the bank with its siblings. So that's very good news indeed, and we'll show you some of those hopefully later. If not now, it'll be non-live. Great stuff. All right, can we go across to the... I think we should go to the Dusty Crossing, shall we? Catherine, you say that this is a wonderful view. It is a wonderful view. You know, I come in here every morning before the camp sort of wakes up at around, well, today it was about 5-ish. And then I sit and I watch the sun coming up from this wonderful view. Right, let's head across to Dusty Crossing. There we are. Lots of swallows flying around, and mercifully the flicker is gone. That is wonderful. Now let us go across to our friend the crocodile. Now I would like to know from all of you how sort of sympathetic you're feeling towards the crocodile, because I think it's quite difficult to feel sympathy for the crocodile, and as you will find out over the next little while as the crossings progress, it is very difficult during a crossing to feel anything other than revulsion for these chaps, because they do create an enormous amount of distress for the poor animals that are crossing the rivers. And certainly around here, it's very interesting to watch people's reactions in the final control. They start rooting immediately for the zebra or for the wildebeest or for the tommies that are trying to cross. John, you're wondering how long a meal lasts for a crocodile. John, it really does depend on the size of the meal. A bit like for you, if you were to eat a sandwich or a full sort of T-bone steak, it would last you a bit, you know, it would last you a different amount of time. You know, they don't have to eat more often if they eat well than 9 months every so, you know, for a very big crocodile. So some of them, you do hear records of 2 years going without eating for the very biggest crocodiles, which I suppose might be possible. But I think largely you'll find that they eat once a week or so, and then probably during the winter months when it gets very cold, which it doesn't here at all, they'll probably eat much less frequently. And certainly when the migration is not in town, they eat very infrequently in this area, and now they'll eat hugely and store up reserves for the lean times ahead when the migration is not in town. Now that is very difficult for anything other than an ectothermic animal or cold-blooded animal. Remember, they do not have to maintain a metabolic heat like we do, and that is why mammals like these hippopotamus cannot go through extended periods of months and months without eating anything at all. There are some mammals, of course, who hibernate for a few months at a time, but that's nothing like as long as something like a reptile is able to hibernate. That is an enormous raft of hippopotamus. You can see one group here, one group behind, one group just behind that, and then a few just going around the corner. They're having a very restful morning. There they are. It all looks rather peaceful down there, doesn't it? The little, you can imagine the rushing of the waters, the rippling and lovely splishing, splashing sounds that goes over the rocks. But of course the peace is always slightly ruined by the fact that you know that there is a very large reptile lurking in the depths. So much as you might want to walk down to the river's edge and place your feet in the shallows and allow the time to pass you by, that would be a dangerous and foolhardy thing to do. Marvellous. Well, that's all that's going on at this particular crossing at the moment. I tell you what, hang on one second, let's just go across to the side. A little faster than that if we can. Very nice. Around we go. Because we have some very nice nests here. Now, Roshni, you say, do crocodiles breed around the year in this area? I actually don't know exactly when they breed here. I suspect it's during the hotter months because, of course, the temperature of their eggs makes a huge difference to what sex they are. There is a swallow's nest, at least a martin's nest in here somewhere. Oh, that's a swallow. Let's just let this hang here for a while and see if those birds don't land. Roshni, we have birds going in and out of the bank there. And by the time we see them, they would probably never be much smaller than about, I don't know, 3 feet long. And also 3 is going to probably be eaten by bigger crocodiles if it comes into an area like this. So the prime position around these crossings, they need to watch out for the very big crocs. Not only that, the food that they fish, not so much available around the big crossings. They need the pools and quieter bends of the river to go and find their fish. Let's just see if this bird doesn't come out. Now, we had a plain, I never remember these things. I think it was a plain martin. Swallow of some sort. Anyway, I'm going to wait and see what this bird does.
However, I don't know if it was the same hyena that we were telling you about, or we had in the pre-show. I was just thinking hyenas didn't scavenge that hoof from the Agama lions that were on the wildebeest kill. This wouldn't surprise me if they've come from the north. So maybe that's what's happened there. Maybe that's what that thing was eating. Now, I'm still... Oh no, Taylor, you had your radio turned down, you silly girl. Supposed to keep that on today so I can hear how many animals are found. But we're still just checking around here. There's just some monkey tracks. Now, of course, hopefully we're going to pick up on some leopard tracks. I think what we'll do though is we'll go back up Twin Dams. Obviously Shongile and Hosanna and Tandi and Tamba are all on kills between Hoffman's and Little Gari, and they were fairly big kills, so I don't know. I wasn't expecting to see their tracks. I think it would be a few more days before they finish that, finish their respective kills, and they've got water quite close by, so there wouldn't be any need for them to come and drink at Twin Dams. So we'll keep going. We'll go all the way up Twin Dams Road, past Chele Pan, have a quick squiz around there, and then I think we'll make our way back towards the hyena den and quickly poke our noses in there to see if there's anything going on, and then we will start checking other areas, I suppose. We just have to keep going until we find things. But I haven't even seen my first lot of impala just yet. I'm still waiting to see them. But it's cold along the Mulwati today. And the other areas, it's fresh, but not as chilly as it is down here. Now, Anders Sachs, you're wondering what is my favorite bird? I like all the different types of birds. I think one of my best has to be the secretary bird. I almost forgot the name of it for a second. I quite enjoy the secretary bird. Sadly, we don't get to see them very often in the Sabi Sands. They're not particularly common. But you go down to the Eastern Cape, there's plenty. Up when I was in Mapungubwe National Park, there were so many secretary birds. It was so nice to see them. But other than that, you can find them all over South Africa. So they're not uncommon, but just in this area. What else do I like? I like them all though. Cape glossy starlings are always an old favorite. Wait, where's this game over already? I hear talking. Let me turn it up so I can hear properly. Let me just see. I was radio down for a little bit. So what do you gentlemen have? Just want to quickly find out. Copy. How many Ngala is it? Just that Madonna Mafazi. Okay, copy, thanks. Sounds like they have got a male and female lion in Buffelshoek somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where. And the Nkuhuma Pride sounds like their tracks come from Sydney's Dam and cross west towards Simbambili. So they're around there. So that's the route that they seem to be walking. So then I'm going to say quite confidently that what that hyena had in its mouth was most certainly the remains of the wildebeest carcass that the Ngumas were finishing up. So obviously they're not going to chew on the big bones like that. Their teeth and their bite force is not powerful enough to crush big strong bones like that, whereas hyena's jaws, that's exactly what they're designed to do. So that's good. At least they got some meal. So maybe they dropped something off at the den site. We'll go have a look now. We're still quite a way off, unfortunately, but no lion tracks through the property today. Like I said, last night I didn't hear one peep from a lion, and then only just that leopard soaring when we were doing the pre-show. We'll go around. Whoo, it's chilly, Craig. We might have to jump out and do jumping jacks to try and warm up this morning. I think let's go this way around. I'm just thinking perhaps we'll go the scenic way and try and cover some roads that we haven't driven just yet either. So we'll head along here, we'll go over the dam wall, we'll drive up towards Mvubu, Tamboti Dam, and then we'll go down Gallagher shortcut. I think that's what we'll do. And then we've checked another area, which will be good. This is, oh, it's falling. A notebook. Don't fall, notebook. Right, now I'm going off the road. I'm in Wendy the tank now. I used to like Wendy. Wendy was my favorite. But now I'm not so sure. I've grown quite attached to old Rust Bucket. We can just go up here. I think Wendy's probably the more comfortable car to drive in with suspension. But Rusty's great because Rusty just turns like this. So it is very quiet, unfortunately, this morning, but hopefully once everything warms up, the birds will come out too, because the only birds that have been out are the turtle doves. I haven't really heard anything else, barring these francolins now making a bit of a noise. But I'm going to send you back across to James, and I don't know what surprises he's got down at the river.
I'm not sure what surprises we have either, but we're going to head across. That is the Dusty Crossing, of course. I've been waiting for my plain martin to go in and out of its nest, but alas, it seems to have gone in and not very much out. But of course it will escape in very few frames. In other words, it will be almost invisible as it shoots out of there like a bullet. You can see it's a bit breezy. It always gets, oh, there we go. Always gets a little bit breezy here in the mornings. And there are obviously lots of insects around this area, and that's why the martins are enjoying themselves hunting for breakfast, which makes me quite hungry. Some time to wait till I have breakfast. Poor me. Woe. There is a hippopotamus having fun. No, it's not having fun anymore. Yes, it is. Let's go across there. Cavorting around in the water. And I often wonder to myself, what do the hippopotamus think of this time of the year? Lots and lots of wildebeest and zebra wandering in and out of the Mara, and I guess it must be quite an exciting time for them. Jason, you're wondering about what sort of fishes you might find here in the Mara. Well, you'll certainly find many kinds of catfish. You'll probably find a number of tilapia species. I will attempt to find you exactly what you find here, but that's going to be the mainstay of the fish that you'd find in this area, much the same as it would be at a place like Djuma, but there'll be different species. A bream, well, I mean, a tilapia is a bream largely, I think. I'm not a huge pescatarian myself. That's somebody who eats fish. I am a pescatarian. I'm not a huge... what am I going for here? If you are a herpetologist, a piscatologist? Piscatologist, really? No, I'm getting this very wrong. Anyway, I don't know a huge amount about fish, but I will attempt to find out for you while we watch those hippo have a very fun time. What am I looking for? What is that word? I can't believe I've lost it. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. Now, Mita, you're an ichthyologist. That's what I'm not. I'm not an ichthyologist, finally. Mita, you're aged 8, of course, and you like to get hold of us. Lovely to have your questions. And you say, do they live in families like elephants? Mita, their families are very, very, very different from elephants. Remember, elephants live in what we call a matriarchal society. In other words, the biggest and oldest cow, or female, is the leader, and she will lead the youngsters and related females around the place, tell them where to eat, tell them where to have a drink, and help them find everything that they need during the day. But in hippopotamus society, there is a pod which is dominated by a big male, a big bull. He dominates the pod, and it is his decision as to what happens, largely. They're not led in the same way that the matriarch leads a herd of elephants. The bull just kind of dominates proceedings and holds the territory and makes sure that nobody misbehaves in his territory and threatens his youngsters or tries to take his wives. And so it is very different indeed. There's no hierarchy amongst the females. Well, probably a very slight hierarchy, but not much of a one, amongst the females in a pod of hippos. Let's just move across there. Here's a crocodile. And Nathan, you want to know how strong a hippo's bite force is? I can never remember these things exactly, I'm afraid. A hippo's bite force. I think, I'm going to guess at around 2,500 pounds per square inch, but I might be entirely wrong. I will do some research on that too, if you'd like. Of course, you know, I see here, I've just looked it up, 3,500 pounds per square inch. But to measure that, of course, is very, very difficult indeed. And so when I read statistics like that and the fact that crocodiles can bite to, I'm talking rubbish, saltwater crocodiles, I've read between 3,700 and 5,000 pounds per square inch. That's what I've read. But, you know, well, with a crocodile, it's probably possible because you find them in captivity, and so you can probably spend time trying to test how heavily they're able to bite. The chances of doing that with a hippopotamus, I think, are almost impossible, because how on earth would you measure it? It's very 1,800 pounds per square inch is the estimate. That is an estimate completely, but I would imagine it would be slightly less than it would be for something like a crocodile. I don't think we have anything else on this camera. Let's go to the south camera, main south. Can we go to main south? We're just going to have one moment while Rebecca... there we go. Boom, she says. Boom indeed. Let's see if we can't find a couple of feeding birds. The main crossings, of course, don't normally happen at this time of the day. It's normally in the afternoon for some reason. I'm not really sure why that should be the case. Ooh, there we have a spur-winged lapwing. That's quite fun. Let's go down to him. It's one of the unique birds here. Well, not unique, but different. And it is called a spur-winged lapwing because it has a spur on it, Rebecca. Come on, all together at once. On its wing, that's correct. Well done. Okay, there is the spur-winged lapwing. Apparently we're still getting these funny black screens. Sorry about that. Let's head back to Taylor and her hyena den.
We are indeed on the way to the hyena den. We're still quite a way off though, unfortunately. We're going as quickly as we can, but not too fast, because I don't want to miss any animals. Hopefully a herd of impala will eventually show themselves to us so we can put... Oh no. It smells so delicious over here. It's really great from that unfortunate hyena that passed on at that Tamboti Dam. It smells ratchet. Yeah, it's not great. Ugh. I'm not one that enjoys the bad smells of things. It's interesting though, it must be tucked, the carcass must be underneath the shrub, because we haven't seen any vulture activity at all. Just check here if there's any leopard tracks. tracks. Nothing. No tracks here. But I'm sure most of it, well, it should almost be completely decomposed now, and I'm sure there would have been lots of smaller animals that would have been feeding on it. It wouldn't surprise me if the hyenas even went back and gobbled it up. I must say though, the smell is not as bad as what it used to be, but it's still not particularly pleasant. Okay, we're on Buffelshoek boundary now. Keep checking for tracks. Of course, this is a good road for many tracks. I think if we don't... Oh, Impala! Phew! Don't run away, please. Don't run away, Impala. We literally have not seen any animals this morning, barring one hyena. There they are. Now, Lexi, you're wondering if the the lions keep us up at night. Sometimes, especially when they come right up to camp and roar. And one morning they did that. They walked past all the vehicles, and they roared so loudly that my window panes were basically rattling. And that's what woke me up too. It also sounded like the lion was inside my room. It was echoing. That was an interesting experience. I definitely got a bit of a fright. I thought, when can lions open doors? I thought maybe they were going to climb through my window. But they've been fairly quiet for the past couple of days. It's been the hyenas that have been actually making most of the noise. Impala, why are you looking so jumpy? Although I suppose you've got to keep your wits about you when you're a prey species. And I think it's better to maybe be slightly more jumpy than relaxed when you're out in the bush. Now they're going in the long grass. Okay, Craigie, we can carry on. We'll eventually get to the hyena dam. What? Us? No ways! No! Ostrich tracks! Is it an ostrich? Oh my goodness, it is too. Hang on, I just want to check this 150%. We might be tracking down an ostrich this morning. This is super cool. My morning has just been made. Look at this. Ostriches have got 2 toes. That's so random. Look at that. Where did this thing go? Okay, so if you have a look over here at this track, you can see here's 1 toe. There's the claw. There's the other toe. How amazing is that? Where are you, ostrich? And we need to follow these tracks, like right now. This needs to happen. We need to find an ostrich. I haven't seen an ostrich in the sands for, well, since I moved up to the north, I haven't seen an ostrich. Massive track, though. I looked down and I thought maybe it was half a hippo track. And then I thought to myself, no, that's not a hippo track. Okay, let me see if I can find this ostrich for you. How cool would that be? Craig, you got to keep your eyes on. I'm also going to tell Taxon and them. So I want to quickly jump. Here's. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. Where did you go? Tax, can you copy me? Tax, there was an ostrich that was walking down Buffelshoek cut line between Mvubu Road and that first shortcut from Gallagher that comes back to Buffelshoek cut line. I want to see if I can follow the Nkonzo. Taxon doesn't seem to be as excited as I am about an ostrich. Oh my goodness. Okay, now this is amazing. Never did I think we would see an ostrich up here, but I suppose that's the exciting part, is that they can honestly go anywhere. Is it going to be a male? Is it going to be a female? These are now all the questions that are running through my head. Imagine we find a leopard on an ostrich kill. How great would that be? But now we need to try and follow these tracks. Now, Tim, you're saying that it's been about 2 or 3 years since you've last seen one here. I presume here as in Djuma. I'm not sure. I haven't been here for that long, but we most certainly haven't seen one since I've been here, and I've been here for almost a year now. Okay, so it's still walking on the road, and these tracks don't look old. Please, please, nature, please present me with this ostrich. I'll be forever excited. Now, I know you've been seeing ostrich while you've been in Kenya. Hey, you have? Yes, you have. But I think it's more special if you see it here, just because there's so much more. 2 ostrich. It's not one, there's 2 ostrich that were walking down the road, because there's tracks now on that side and over here. I apologize if I'm not looking back at you. I want to keep my eyes focused on around me because I don't want to miss these birds. Now it sounds silly, Taylor, how can you miss an ostrich? It's the largest bird. But with the vegetation being so thick, it's actually quite easy. This is so exciting. This could possibly turn out to be the most exciting day I've had yet at Wild Earth. I'm just going to keep going because these tracks they're very fresh. They're not old. But the only thing is now we're getting towards the bound. Are we going towards the boundary? Let's see where they go now. We were going to go to the Hyena Den. The Hyena Den is down this way. But where are these ostrich tracks? No, where did you go? Lots of hyena tracks around here as well. I now cannot see the ostrich footprints. Let me just quickly do a loop. Also male lion tracks. Wow. James, you said the last ostrich sighting was August the 28th, 2016. Well, was my birthday then. I was a lot younger though. No, I was a year younger. I turned 24. How exciting. Now I don't know where these tracks have gone. There's also lion tracks going that way. I'm jumping out the car. I'm going for a run now. I want to figure out where these ostrich are going. I don't know where they turned off, so I'm just going to walk quite a far away. Craig, please let me know if my audio breaks up, because then I'll have to come back. Where did they go? This is so fascinating. Oh, yeah. That's me. Here's the track here. Now we need to try and figure out which way it went. There's also a car coming, so I'm going to have to... I wonder if it's gone into Djuma. Because I can't... No, here's one here. Just got to mark. So it's nearing on our boundary. So I'm going to move off the road quickly. There's a vehicle behind me. And I do apologize, I seem to have the sniffles this morning from the cold weather. We just let them go past. Right. Craig, how excited would you be to see an ostrich? Or would you prefer to see something eating the ostrich? Right, I just want to quickly try and turn around here. I want to check up a little bit further just to see if whereabouts they go. They're nearing like they want to edge into Djuma. Now Rebecca from FC is wondering if you can tell the difference between male and female ostrich tracks and if I know which one it is. Well, I'm actually not too certain, unfortunately, Rebecca. Obviously wasn't paying enough attention when I was surrounded by ostriches in the Eastern Cape. So many lion tracks here too, but they're all going to Buffelshoek. And yes, like I said, I was obviously not paying attention back then. I don't know, I'm sure there might be a size difference. Males are typically slightly bigger. However, because I haven't seen an ostrich track in I don't know when, I wouldn't be able to answer that. But we'll have to find out and see if there's 2 sets of ostrich tracks. So maybe we've got male and female. It could also just be 2 females. Look at all the lion tracks. You can see some nice ones there. I'm not going to get out because I'm actually going to turn around. I think we need to go into Djuma and start searching for these ostriches. Maybe they're at the Hyena Den. Imagine that, Craig. Because they're going down shortcut. Well, they weren't going anywhere. Oh no, here they are again. I've got the tracks. They obviously went off of the road, but they're back here. The only problem is now they really are truly going towards, look how cool they are. This is a really nice ostrich track. Oh my goodness, this has made my day. I'm gonna go back for you, Craig, so you can get a goodie. But I don't know where the other set is now. It's gone off the road, so maybe that was just moving around here. Look at this. Let's do this big one. Yeah, look how nice that is. What a great track. I mean, look compared to my hand, how massive it is. Big feet, powerful claw, which can disembowel things, and you wouldn't want to be kicked by an ostrich because they are a dangerous animal. When you learn to walk, you don't just learn about the big five. You add hippos, and then you also add the ostrich. Very dangerous, especially males when it comes to breeding season. I've actually been charged once by an ostrich, but it was quite far away. He was running towards us, so we just started shouting at him, and then eventually he stopped. But that's actually bringing back all good memories. Well, we're going to try and follow these tracks. Hopefully they don't cross out and go north, but maybe we find, well, the largest non-flying bird. I'm going to send you back across to Kenya to James.
Very exciting indeed that Taylor has managed to find some ostrich tracks. That is extremely exciting. Moving there at Djuma. Hopefully they won't cross out. But here we sit with a water dukop or water thickney. And what it is doing, of course, is standing by thee. Everyone together. 1, 2, 3. That's correct. The water. Good. And I think it's looking for nice little things to eat. It eats a wide range of prey, including crabs, aquatic beetles, and frogs, insects, mollusks, and small fish. I've read that, obviously. I didn't remember that list verbatim in my mind. And so let's see if it doesn't find itself a crab, an aquatic beetle, frog, insect, mollusk, or small fish. You can see the tempestuous river waves there coming in as a result of the wind. And that's why the bird's looking a little bit ruffled. It replaced exactly the spur-winged lapwing that was sitting in precisely the same place, and I think probably because it's just a little bit bigger. Ooh, look what's behind there. Patrolling the depths. There's the spur-winged lapwing to the left. But let's go in and have a look at this crocodilian. You say, is there a bird that I'm still looking for on my list that is findable here in the Mara, but that I have not found at Djuma? There are a number. I'm just sort of a specific one that I have not seen here that I'm quite desperate to see. Well, you know what? The Narina trogon and the Ross's luri are two quite interesting ones. The Narina trogon occurs down in the forests around where we live. It does occur in South Africa, but I've yet to see it there. Well, no, I've yet to see it, but I have yet to see one there. So that's an interesting one. Very colourful, beautiful bird. And then the Ross's luri, yellow beak, gorgeous, gorgeous. And they do occur in southern Africa, but not at Djuma. Look at that beastly thing. It's very difficult to feel affection for that. And I know I'm being very nasty indeed. It's a little bit. They're a very valuable part of the ecosystem, are these crocodiles. But it's difficult to feel affection for that thing. There we have a very nice three-banded, very pleasant. And it too is looking, I suspect, for small water mollusks. In fact, I will tell you precisely what it eats, if you'd like to know. I'm sure you would. I would like to know. Lynn, you say how deep is the water? It's not very deep there. I mean, obviously they're right on the shallows. It just depends on how narrow the river is at wherever you happen to be looking. So the narrower the river, the deeper it will get. I've seen it probably about 5 to 6 feet deep in some places, probably, well, maybe up to 8 feet in some spots. But in this area where it is wide and there are rocks and rapids, I think you'll... All we've got terrestrial aquatic invertebrates. Well, I could have told you that with mine. Foraging and food, aquatic invertebrates. I think probably quite a lot of larvae apparently, so look for insect larvae lurking on the shoreline there. I think they're quite sweet. Ye oldie three-banded plover. Oh, there's another one of these things. Look at them, they're everywhere. This one looks very comfortable, just shaking its head from side to side, considering the day's activities, wondering if perhaps there won't be a crossing today, hoping that if there is, it will be able to take part. Look at this thing's head swinging from side to side, its eyes barely open. It looks so happy and so contented. Well, I suppose somebody else who might be considered slightly unhappy and discontented at the moment on account of the lack of ostrich is Taylor.
I'm like a little schoolgirl today. I'm so excited. I was just saying to Craig, this will make my entire year if we get to see some ostriches. I really enjoy them. Maybe that could be one of my favorite birds too. I don't think I realized how incredible those birds actually were when I first started guiding, probably because there were so many of them, but now, you know, they're a rarity to see up here. They're not particularly common. There's also, again, lots of lion tracks that were going up and down along here, but they all cross, they go on the boundary and then go towards Buffels Hook. But I don't know where the tracks go. They don't continue towards the gate. They've turned off. And the last ones that I had looked like they were coming onto Djuma. So I'm just on Aubrey's Road now, not Aubrey, Sandy Patch. I'm going to check Vuyatela access. Maybe they cut through the block. Giraffe. Ostrich typically like open areas, so if we have any tracks, maybe they're going to go towards Impala Plain side. It wouldn't be a bad idea to check there, but I don't know where those footprints have gone now, which is a bit of a pain. I really would have loved to have just followed them to exactly where they were. Who's here? Lions walking around. And we won't stop for the lions because we know where their tracks go. This is where they've come from. I don't know if it's the Nkuhuma's tracks or whose footprints it actually is moving through. Now, Nisha, you're wondering if ostriches prefer roads to walk around on. Not necessarily, but the funniest things I've ever seen, and it's actually really just brought back some amazing memories from when I first started guiding, was often you often see, like we see here, most of the animals will use our roads because it's sort of more open, it's easier to move around on. They also have their own spots. But when you see an ostrich running on the road, it's almost like the Franklins and the guinea fowls, and you're trying to get past them. Good luck trying to get past them, because it's as if they think that they can't run anywhere else. They can't go to the left to the open plain, they can't go to the right, they have to carry on down the road. And the one day I drove very slowly, about 5 k's an hour on the road. It took me about 20 minutes to get up this one hill that would normally only take a couple of minutes, and we followed this ostrich for about 2 kilometers on the road in front of us, and it kept giving us the dirtiest look every time we were sitting slowly. It would just sort of look back at us and say, "You're still there." Carry on running. But luckily giraffe, why do I keep saying giraffe? Ostrich have got lots and lots of stamina, so they can run and run and run and run and run, and they'll be fine. And also run pretty quick too. I can tell you so many stories. Let me tell you one of my favorite moments ever, and I don't know if I've ever told this before. So as you can imagine, I like to tell lots of stories as I was a guide. Most of them weren't true, but I like to catch people out, and then I tell them I was joking, just for a bit of fun, a bit of laughs. Often it would break the ice. You know, it was a great way to connect with people, is obviously to make them laugh. And one day we were driving around and there was this ostrich named Dolly, and I think I've spoken about Dolly too. She was the only female ostrich down at River Lodge, and they kept trying to reintroduce other ostriches and they would die. Whether she was killing them or what was happening to them, we don't know, but she was the only one. She laid her eggs next to my car, my game viewer, and she would sleep under where the vehicles slept. Anyways, so driving along this river and we see the ostrich up ahead, and I was like, "Oh cool, Dolly." And then I told my guests the story. I was like, oh, you won't believe how fast they can run. And, you know, sometimes Dolly likes to race you back to the camp. All nonsense. None of that was absolutely true, barring the fact that they can run pretty quickly. And it wouldn't be funny if these guests were watching, and because I didn't tell them that it was a made-up story, but you'll hear why now. So anyways, going along, and then they were like, oh, do you think she'll race us today? So now we've just got off this road that runs on the edge of the river, and it opens to this massive open plain. So she starts walking off, and I was like, oh, you know, trying to cover my my big story. It's too hot, you know, she might not want to run and waste her energy. She only does it typically on the cooler days. And anyways, everyone's falling for it. I kid you not, as I got out of first gear and into second gear to pick up the pace now, she starts running next to me, but I don't realize this. My guests go, Taylor, she's racing you, she's racing you. And I started laughing because I genuinely thought it was, you know, everyone was just having a laugh. She ran next to my car, probably about 30 meters away from me, on the open plain. So then I sort of went, okay, it's just a coincidence. So I went faster, and then I went in third gear, and she carried on, and she ran across the open plain, dust kicking up behind her, us racing her on the road, and she ran all the way. Obviously I went to the lodge, she turned off and went to back of house where we parked the cars. So laughing, thought this was the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, that I've made up the story, and then she did it. She did what I said that she'd do. So I'm laughing, and I thought, I don't know what just happened, but that was fantastic. Guess where she was waiting for me? At the wash bay, where you wash the vehicles. And I hosed her down. I kid you not. I have many friends that can even validate this story for me, because they watched it happen. They were like, why is that ostrich running with your car? I was like, I don't know. And like, now she's waiting for me, so I hosed her down. She was great, and then she carried on with her day. How cool was that? I had the most amazing experience with the ostrich. She was really great though. Like, you could tell big stories. You could go. The other thing we would used to do, the River Lodge guides, we were so naughty. We would say, you know, we're animal whisperers, you know, Dr. Dolittle 101, let us show you. So you would spot her in the distance, and you'd say, I'm going to show you now how you can tame an ostrich, wild ostrich. And we tell the story about how we introduced other ostriches, and they just keep dying. We don't know why, what's wrong, what happened to them. And say how, you know, that she play up that she's so aggressive. She was not an aggressive ostrich at all. She just taken to people, and as soon as she saw people, she would sit down. So once she got close enough, she would sit down, and she'd almost like do a mating display for you, like as if to, when the males finally are accepted by the girls, because that's quite interesting. We'll talk about the whole chase. It's so funny though. So you get out your car and you try and sneak, and you know, you'd point and you do weird things with your hands, and then by the time you got about 10 meters away from her, she'd just sit down on the ground. You could go up to her and pat her on the head. It was the greatest time. We used to have so much fun, and she still lives down there, and she still provides entertainment to every single guest that goes. She's wonderful. So yes, that is the story of Dolly. I'll share some pictures a little bit later, some really cool up-close pictures of my dear friend. I actually miss her. So when I eventually go home to the Eastern Cape again, I'll have to go and visit my friend Dolly. Now, a question from Sammy Jane, and that is, have I ever ridden an ostrich? Now, you can imagine ostrich riding is done in South Africa. I'm not a fan of it. You know, I prefer to ride something like a horse. So no, Sammy Jane, I haven't ever ridden an ostrich, and I don't think I would really want to ride an ostrich. I'll give that a skip. I have been to an ostrich breeding farm, and it was really incredible to just see them and sort of get hands-on experience with ostriches, and their neck is so flexible. I'm just deciding what we're doing because there's no tracks here, so I think let's check the fire break quickly. But yes, no, so I won't ride an ostrich. Craig, would you ride? You said when you were a little kid you did, eh? You didn't. You watched them. So Craig was also telling me somewhere in the Midlands, which is in KwaZulu-Natal, so the southeast coast, or sort of more the east coast, he was saying how he was a young boy and he watched people ride ostriches. So I've also seen people riding ostriches, but I won't participate in it. I did feed one though. That's scary. This was at this breeding, it was in Oudtshoorn, and they have one of the largest breeding farms there anyways, and we could feed an ostrich. That makes me cringe with fear, though, because that massive beak you'd think be quite easily be able to hurt you. There was the one that we did was so gentle. Maybe it was just used to taking food out of hands. Because I've also had another experience with an ostrich when I was little at it's called Homely Farm. It's like I suppose a petting zoo. You know, when you're kids, they've got goats and cows and bunnies and chickens and geese and all these type of things. You can go around, you can feed the domestic animals, and there were ostriches. There was also an emu there, which I thought, well, you're far from home. Obviously it didn't fly there. Anyways, and this ostrich pecked my hand particularly hard, and then I was scared of them for a very long time. Remember that I was chased by chickens and geese before. I'm just checking. I don't know where this ostrich has gone, because I can't. Did you say you saw it? Oh, Craig, I got so excited. I thought, how did I miss the ostrich? Well, I almost did miss a lion the other night. But Craig has spotted a red-crested korhaan who is freezing by the looks of it and hasn't quite woken up just yet. And don't worry, birdie, you only have to wait about another 5 minutes and eventually the sun will be on you, and it is so warm in the sun too. But look at that amazing camouflage. It does look very sleepy this morning, and they've started calling quite a bit too, the korhaans now, so we might get to see some interesting breeding displays. Perhaps we'll see them all forming their arenas. Wouldn't that be nice? I thought we were going to get lucky. Was it last year on Cheetah Plains when we had that amazing sighting with the korhaans all together? I thought we were going to see a fantastic display, but we didn't. We were patient. We sat there for ages, but unfortunately we weren't lucky. That's beautiful. But now you can see how they also try and keep themselves warm. Bring their necks in, because they've got fairly long necks, and fluff all their feathers up. I suppose that's the equivalent for a bird of putting on a jacket. That's so cool, but we won't bother it too much more. I think it's hoping that we can't see it. Don't worry, we'll leave you. You keep warming up in the sun. I don't know where my ostrich is. I think I'm going to go back to the last spot that I had those tracks and jump out and try and figure out whereabouts they went, because there were two of them. But I'm going to send you back to James in the meantime, who's going to talk about something else that can live for a really long time.
Well, this crocodile is sort of mine. It is my crocodile, actually, and it is not a real one. It is a resin cast of a real crocodile skull. Now, the reason I have my head outside of its jaws as opposed to inside them is that it's actually heavy enough to probably, well, certainly do some damage. And this is how big some of the crocodiles in the Mara River are. Quite impressive. I'll just turn it round for you. Now, Laura Moore, you're wondering what enemies adult crocodiles have. Other than other adult crocodiles and human beings, you'll find not many. There we are. That wasn't that terrifying. Hippopotamus, would be considered crocodiles' enemies. Certainly lions, small crocodiles definitely will eat. You probably find that other crocodiles will eat small crocodiles, definitely. As I said before, I think. Certainly birds will eat small crocodiles, baby ones, but a big adult like this really only has hippopotamus to fear and man. Other than that, very little is going to have a go at a crocodile this size. And this thing probably weighs, I think, in the region of about 5 kilograms, which is about 11 pounds. That's just the, in fact, more than that. What about 15 pounds, the top, and the bottom, obviously, much lighter. And Blue Raptor, you say, how does it hunt? Well, interestingly, the crocodile is unable to move its jaw from side to side. So I can't, like you can do this. The crocodile cannot do that. So when I hold it here, it is unable to move its jaw from side to side, which means that when it snaps down on something, it must bite front on or turn its head and bite side on, but it cannot sort of bite to the side, if you know what I mean. And so what it does, is that it lurks under the surface of the water. This is when it's hunting in ambush. It has a number of ways of doing it, but when it hunts in ambush, it will be very low under the water like that. And you can see how perfectly designed it is so that only its eyes need stick out of the water. And then it will push off the ground, launch out of the water, and snap down. It is a very fast bite, and grab whatever it is, and then pull whatever it is back into the water. So that's one method. During these crossings, however, what it does is it will run along, well, not run along, swim along towards the crossing animals, and then try and catch one that is a little bit out of its depth. And you can see how awkward it is. The reason I gave you that whole explanation about the jaw is that you can see how awkward it is for them to bite animals unless they're at the right angle. So they'll come, they don't often twist and try and take a narrow bit. They'll just bite down onto the whole head or the whole neck of the animal that happens to be crossing, and then try and hold on for grim death and drag them under the water. So it's either ambush or very much not ambush during one of those crossings. The animals or their prey can see them coming. They know that the prey can see them coming, and they just get into the way of the migrating herds and have a go at them. So I hope that answers your question. Nathan, you say, how do crocodiles digest their food? Well, pretty much the same way that you do, Nathan. You say they eat so much. Well, I mean, proportionately, they don't eat that much. I suspect that you'll find per kilogram of animal, they don't eat as much as we do, or as most mammals do during the course of the year, because they don't have to maintain a metabolic heat. But, yes, when they do eat a huge amount now, they've got very powerful acid digestion that will allow them to lay down a huge amount of fat. Their physiology allows them to lay down fat, which of course will then be used over the course of the year when they're not eating. But there's nothing particularly special about the way they digest. They just have a physiology that is geared towards laying down fat and not excreting too much of the waste. They don't burn it off like we might if we ate too much. We, of course, also lay down fat if we're not careful. Not so. Here we are. Good. I don't know the answer to this, Justin. You say, how acidic is a crocodile's stomach compared to the human's? I think, I don't remember the pH of a human being's stomach. I think it sits at around a pH of 2 or 3, which is pretty acidic. I think you probably find that this probably sits at a pH of around 1, if I was to guess, but I also think you'll find that there are a whole lot more acids. There are much more powerful enzymes inside a crocodile's stomach that allows it to digest all of the rotting meat that it eats, and of course the hide and the bone and all those sorts of things that you and I would be unable to eat. So it's not only the acid, it's an acid environment that helps the breakdown, but it's the enzymes that will be unique to this crocodile that help it break down what we would be unable to break down. Good. Okay, the other last interesting thing I want to show you here is how very small this thing's brain is. You see that? There's almost no space at all for a brain cavity. It's about the size of a walnut, if that. It has a tiny, tiny, tiny little brain, about the size of a walnut, so unlikely to ever have come up with the theory of relativity on its own. Now, R. Lopez, I think, or Y. Lopez, sorry, you want to know if it's only the top jaw that can move, or if the bottom jaw can move as well. Remember that when you look at a skull like this, and you say, can one move or only the other, it's largely a question that is not relevant, because I mean, if you look at your own, so hold your own jaw, you know that you can't move your top jaw because it's your skull, basically. But if you hold your bottom jaw and you push hard enough, well, eventually the articulation will happen between your bottom and top jaws. But largely, it's your bottom jaw that moves. The same thing, as far as I understand, is the case with crocodiles. And while it looks like it's opening its skull, it is certainly it is opening its skull. It's an articulation that takes place here that probably contains more movement of the skull than it does in ours, but it'll be able to articulate both ways, I imagine. I hope that's answered your question. I'm just trying to sort of think quite carefully about that answer. I'm sure the crocodile's jaw does articulate differently from ours, but yeah, I think it can probably move both. Okay, let's head across to Taylor, who I believe is also still looking for her ostrich.
I've got some sad news to report. Our ostriches, like, not ours, I don't own them, but the ostriches that we're trying to track, fortunately crossed into Buffels Hook and then go straight towards Sydney's Dam and then go north. So probably back to the Manuleti, but never mind, it was still interesting though, and about of course seeing the tracks, and then at least I got to tell you some of my favorite ostrich stories. I've got so many of them now that I think about it. I don't know when I really last spoke about ostriches, but that was quite nice. So I think what we will do now though is we'll go back towards the hyena den. I did just bump into Ari from Nkoro, and he said that the Nguma Pride are on Simbambili. They're not far from the boundary actually, they're just off of on the fire break, so if they get moving again it'll be quite nice. Hopefully they come back this side, maybe something for this afternoon. I don't know if they're going to move around too much now, so I'm waving to Peter, one of the other Nkoro guards, and there seems to be a migration of impala happening up front, so we'll go and have a look at all the impala crossing the road now. My goodness, that's a massive herd. I'm gonna actually, have you ever seen me drive fast to get to a herd of impala? Well, today's the day. Let's go up there. What an exciting adventure it's been this morning. I know we haven't necessarily had too much, but it's actually just been lots of fun. So I hope that you've all got big smiles on your faces, and maybe with all the positive vibes that are out here this morning, something will just stumble across our car. That would be the ideal situation. But I wonder where all the Birmingham boys are, because their tracks are everywhere as well. Going up and down Aubrey's Road, Sandy Patch. Maybe there's a Birmingham on the property somewhere. He's just laying low. Now, I think we're just catching the end of the impala crossing. What I'll show you how many there are on the right hand side. I'm going to now slow down and just sneak up to them. Good morning. And this actually doesn't look like much, but there's a whole lot behind the buffalo thorn as well. And they're still crossing. And birds sound like they're just starting to wake up too. It is warm in the sun, it's very nice. So you can see that they're looking slightly fluffy, but that will change now. As soon as they warm up, their coats will go lovely and smooth again. Now this is a proper breeding herd of impala. Majority of them seem to be females. We've actually been seeing more bachelor groups of impala than anything. Maybe we'll have to keep an eye out for one-horn Sean this morning. He's becoming one of my favorite characters in the bush actually. And hopefully he hangs around for long enough so we can just follow his life too. Wouldn't that be nice? But they're all looking around, all have got each other's backs. Some of them are grazing, others have stopped to have a little listen. But it is very, very peaceful out here now. And eventually we will also go and check the entire northern boundary to see if there's any evidence of that leopard that was soaring away this morning. I wonder if it was a Tingana maybe. I don't know where Tingana's been for the last couple of days. He's been MIA. So they're doing a combination of things. They're grazing, they're browsing. Actually, what are they browsing on? Are they browsing on a spike thorn? I can't really see what they're eating, but all of them seem to be enjoying that. There is an African wattle just in front of them, but that's not what they're eating. They're eating the plant behind it. No, it looks like a monkey orange. That's delicious. Beautiful ram. And I think this is the ram that is in charge of this breeding herd. There are a couple of other youngsters, but they're the offspring of this recent breeding season. There don't seem to be any others that are any older than that. Roshni, you say that you love the shades of the white and brown on the impalas. I have once heard someone describe an impala like an upside down cafe latte, which I suppose is fair enough. That's an accurate description of their coloration, because you've got the white, the foam, and then you've got the milky part, and then of course the coffee right at the end. There we go. Let's carry on. Bye, Impala, thank you. We are looking for lots of other animals. Okay, now I'm just thinking. See, I can't make up my mind as to which areas I want to drive. Obviously, I want to check everywhere. I want to check the new road, but I haven't seen any leopard tracks crossing in. And I know that Shadow and Cub were seen in Arethusa. They were around there, and typically if they would have crossed, I would have theoretically seen their footprints on the ground, because there's lots of other tracks, some elephant footprints, but unfortunately they're going west. They're not coming into Vuyatela. There were lots of impala tracks. Well, we just saw the animals that left those footprints behind. Some waterbuck and kudu tracks, lots of civet going up and down here. This western corner must have been bustling last night. It was very, very busy. I would have loved to have seen those ostriches' faces though, once they came across all the hyena and lions last night, because the area that they went to was very, very busy with the sort of predator activity. So I can't imagine they would have been too thrilled by that. And ostriches are actually fairly easy to catch. Can you believe that? I've seen a spotted hyena catching a ostrich before. That was an amazing sighting. It actually happened at night. What was that on the road? Sorry, I'm going back. I saw something and I don't know what it is. Is it a bone? No. It's a piece of quartz. No, it's just a piece of rock that I was looking at. It was an interesting shape.